This week we're talking housing affordability and finding out which generation is leading the pack in home buying, so stay tuned. Welcome to another local market update with Rick Batista. Welcome Chicago. Here we are in nearly mid-April. I hope you've been enjoying the weather that we've been having lately. Spring is certainly upon us. We'll be covering both national and local data here and diving deeper into the numbers, especially locally. And I'll be sharing some fun information with you, as well as some insight. But as always, let's start off with a fun fact. Fun facts, market time. The annual rate of U.S. rent growth has continued to slow annually, with single-family rents increasing 5.7% as of last measure, the lowest level since spring 2021, according to CoreLogic's most recent single-family rent index. This marks the 9th consecutive month rent growth has slowed, with Orlando, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, and New York having the highest annual single-family rent price increases, while Phoenix posted the lowest annual rent price gain for the period. And I'll be sharing some slides with you, especially if you're a renter, might want to pay attention. Certainly may make you rethink the whole renting versus buying conversation that you've been having in your household or in your own mind. But let's cover real quick. What covers housing affordability? Well, there's three main components. One is interest rates. And rates, I'll be showing you in just a moment, rates have been coming down, even though there's been plenty of volatility and up and downness. They have been coming down, trending downward at least, since late October when they had peaked. Prices are doing what they're doing as the market is stabilizing and finding its own normalcy. And wages, there's been reports recently that came out showing that wages have increased over the last year. So a lot of people, at least the first thing that comes to mind is home prices. Home prices don't have to be low for homes to be affordable, although that certainly does help. If home prices are low but interest rates are super high, I can use a great example. A lot of times we see condos, especially condos along the lakefront here, where there's a 24-hour door person, an elevator and pool, etc., etc. I would say there's a good amount of times where the prices of the condos themselves are very reasonable or fairly reasonable, but the assessments are just outrageous. So home prices alone do not impact housing affordability. Other factors involved. But taking a look here, this is data from Freddie Mac, looking at the 30-year fixed rate. We saw there late October, just before November hit last year. They had certainly peaked, and they have been trending downward overall. Most recently, April 6th, 6.28%, again for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And this is a chart that we've shown before, given the range of the rates where they've been recently. It's very interesting that this year we have touched every single band of demand here, covering, and we're talking about buyer demand. Right now we're in good, trending towards strong. If you take a look at these dates and when things start to dip downward into the green or in the greener pastures, I can nearly guarantee you that every single time that they have dipped down, it's because there's been an adjustment in rates. So 0.25% can make a big difference. 0.5%, certainly a whole percent can make a huge difference in housing affordability and what that means to your bottom line. And sellers, it's not just about buyers, because rates are going to impact how many buyers are out there, how many interested buyers are out there, and what kind of offers that they can make. And that in turn can definitely have an impact on what your home should be priced at and what it's going to sell at. And very interesting data that came out from the National Association of Realtors. It is the Generational Trends Report, and it kind of gives us an idea of which generations are the active home buyers out there. In 2022, millennials were certainly a driving force, and that's something we had heard about in the news. Here's the actual data to prove it. If you combine both the younger Gen Y or millennials and older, they were coming in at 43% of the home buyers last year, with younger and older boomers coming in at 29% and Gen Xers in third place there at 22%. Me being a Gen Xer, we always hate being left out, but I guess we're just used to that, right? Although the year is still fairly young and the spring market really hasn't really started. Taking a look at 2023 so far, there's actually been a considerable shift where millennials are at 28% combined. Well, okay, boomer. Boomers at 39% of the home buyers so far this year. And Gen Xers, again, third at 24%. Here's something that'll put things in perspective. 67% of the home buyers so far this year are 42 or older. So that is Gen Xers, Boomers, and the silent generation. 67% so far. Pretty good chunk of change there. Be very interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out as spring and summer market hit, and hopefully we have a nice fall. We'll have some activity for the majority of the year, especially with rates, if rates and hopefully rates continue to go downward. But let's use this information and data to learn something, and this is for all those young whippersnappers out there. Take a tip from Grandma and Grandpa, okay? Because I know, believe me, I know that the markets were different back when they were buying their first home. Job market, society overall, income, wages, cost of living, so many factors and so many things about life back then were very different than they are now. But if you find a way to become a homeowner, chances are decades from now, we can end up seeing some very, very positive data for your generation as well. And why are baby boomers leading the pack right now? Well, here's a quote from Dr. Jessica Lautz. Dr. Lautz is the Deputy Chief Economist and VP of Research at National Association of Realtors. Baby boomers have the upper hand in the home buying market. The majority of them are repeat buyers who have housing equity to propel them into their dream home, be it a place to enjoy retirement or a home near friends and family. They are living healthier and longer and making housing trades later in life. So that's something that is definitely happening. We are living longer lives, hopefully longer and healthier lives, which is better for reason for folks in the younger generations to consider home buying and getting prepared for those golden years now. So continuing the conversation about renting versus buying, here are survey results from Zonda. People were asked, are you willing to pay more for a monthly mortgage payment compared with rent given some of the longer-term benefits of home ownership? 25% said that they would be willing to pay an additional $500 per month to own versus rent, and 14% said that they would be willing to pay $1,000 or more per month. Keep in mind that the survey question was willing to, not able to. A huge difference. But if you're willing to and not yet able to, or you are able to, whichever point you're at right now in your life, we'd love to have a conversation with you and see how we can make it happen either now or in the near future. Especially it's a great time since a lot of leases are coming up. Certainly with that conversation, if you're not ready to do that right now, could be something to talk about for later in the year or even next spring. Best to prepare. And to focus on millennials for just a moment, going back to focusing on millennials, I should say. In that same survey, Zonda had asked millennials, why did you decide to buy? And the clear choice was building my own equity instead of building someone else's. And if you've been watching our videos lately, hopefully you have. If you haven't, what's going on? There are so many pros and cons to both owning and renting. Certainly some of the biggest pros I hear as far as renting goes is I don't have to deal with the responsibility if something breaks down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, guess what? Responsibility is a part of life. And the more responsibility you take on, I know it could be stressful at times, but in the end, it can certainly pay off, as we've been covering in the earlier charts, as well as our most recent videos when we've talked about home equity and generational wealth and the net worth of a homeowner versus a renter. If you haven't checked that out, feel free to take a gander at our social media, or you can reach out. Be more than happy to share that information and data with you as well, so you don't have to go digging. And second was something that's impacted every generation since home buying began, change in life stage, marriage, starting a family, and having children, new job or job relocation. And then we go down the line here. A couple of my favorites here, sick of paying rent. That's just as honest as you can get. Some people are just tired of paying rent and not seeing the benefit of it. And I think my absolute favorite, it was cheaper for me to own than to rent. And that is something that I have seen time and time again. Rent prices are going up, folks. There's no way around it. And I question sometimes why people are paying that much on rent when they can own something. But, for right now, that's the best thing for their situation, for their households. Certainly no judgment there, but it is something that I think people should reconsider, given rents going up and especially now that rates are starting to go down. And again, in that same survey, millennials were asked what's the main reason for renting or continuing to rent. Number one, by far, I'm waiting for home prices to come down. A lot of us are waiting for home prices to come down, but chances are they're not, at least right now. Will there come some point in time that they may plummet and they may get slashed? Certainly, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. So at what point are you going to wait? until what age are you going to wait? If it's 5-10 years down the line, do the math, take your rent that you're paying right now, make sure you increase it by at least 3, 5, 7% year after year, and add up how much you're going to be paying out in rent when you could be putting that into your own home and eventually into your own pocket. And I can go down the list here and we can absolutely talk about each of these and certainly not debate, but at least have a conversation about them. But I can't afford the location I like. Well, sometimes there's other areas that are not too far from where you'd like to be that are much more affordable. And especially here in Chicago and in the burbs as well, but definitely here focused on Chicago right now. You can drive 10-15 minutes less without traffic and you're in a completely different area. And it could be a much more affordable area or a much more expensive area. So definitely thinking outside of the area that you'd like to be is potentially something to consider when looking to purchase your first home. It doesn't have to be your forever home, but at least get your foot in the door of home ownership. Jumping down the list here to student debt. A lot of people think that they can't buy because of having student debt. That is not the case. We can get you in touch with some great lenders who can take a look at your situation and give you a lot more guidance there. And another one that's very interesting, I'm waiting to get married or settle down. Again, we can't predict the future, but I can tell you that we have helped couples, whether they were both renting at the time or one of them owned or both of them owned. For those who did own, they were able to make a good financial move and rent out the place that they were living in and owning at the time, or even sell the property and use that as a down payment towards the purchase of their together home. So again, a lot of different factors to consider, a lot of things to kind of calculate and think about. And we're always here to start a conversation with you and help you make the best decision possible. And we'll finish up here before we dive into the numbers. Here's a quote from Selma Hepp, Chief Economist at CoreLogic. U.S. home prices rose by 0.8% in February, indicating that prices in most markets have already bottomed out. So that's a great quote if you're thinking about waiting for home prices to drop. From fun facts and insights to quick facts. We are going to be covering information and data that's provided by the Chicago Association of Realtors for week ending April 1st. Data is current as of yesterday, April 10th. Year-over-year changes in new listings, the detached market down by 22.8%, while attached, being condos and townhomes, down by 45.1%. Under contract, oh no, we were in the positive last week. Detached down by 1.2%, while the attached market down by 30.4%. Homes for sale, this has certainly shifted. It's been in the positive for quite some time, but we are, for the detached market, we're only up by 0.6% year over year, while the detached down by 31%. And to unpack those a little bit more, new listings, we wrapped up the week of April 1st with 309 single-family detached homes, bringing us to a 3-month average of 299, down year over year by 13.3%. And the single-family attached market saw 463 with a 3-month average of 470, down by 35.7%. Under contract, the single-family detached market wrapped up the week of April 1st with 242 with a 3-month average of 178, down by 21.7% year over year, while the attached market 385, 3-month average of 304, down by 35.3%. And homes for sale, single-family detached market wrapped up the week of April 1st with 2,121 properties, while with a 3-month average of 2,340, up by 13.6%. While the single-family attached market, 2,991, 3-month average of 3,130, down by 25.5%. So folks, we've covered a lot of information and data. What does it mean for you? I have no idea. All depends on what's going on in your life, in your world, and in your household. If you'd like to have a conversation, or you want a copy of this report or any of the reports or slides that we shared with you here today, feel free to reach out. Our contact information is below. You can call, text, or email. Love to talk with you, see what's going on, see how we can help, and help you make the best decision possible. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll catch you next week. Take care.